Hello guys, picking up from where we stopped, still working on the watch page. In this video we are going to implement the subscribe functionalities, the ability for users to subscribe to different channels of their choice. And also we are going to be using AJAS to handle this, because we don't want a case when a user is watching a video and decide to subscribe to the channel and the page reload. That will not be a good user experience, because once the page reloads, the video automatically starts from the beginning again, and so that will not be good for our site. So in that case, we will be using AJAS also to make the subscribe action run in the background while the user watch the video. I know this is not an Agile course or a JavaScript course, but the AJAS technology is a good fit for such. So okay, without much talking and all that, we already signed in with a neutral user that doesn't have a channel. You can see here the user does not have any channel. If he had a channel, you'll be seeing your channel here. Because it has a channel, that's why we're saying create channel. Alright, so the user can decide to watch. So I want to click. Alright, so we were able to fix this user can like the video. That is working. Our view count is working. Okay, so what we want to do now is the subscribe button. This subscribe red button, we want to make it working so that a user can actually subscribe to any channel of the choice. Alright, so the way we're going to do this now is nothing far from how we implement the like video. Just start. Let's head over to our code, head over to our models. First of all, make some changes to our model. So go to our model.py file and we head over to the channels model, and we're going to add a subscribe feed, because users are going to be subscribed to various channels of the choice. So we're going to add the relationship between the channel and the user that is subscribing. Calling subscribers is also going to be a many-to-many feed also user, which is our user model. You can add a related name to it if you want, but I'm going to leave it like that. And also simple method to get the number of subscribers, just the way we did for how to get the number of using our count method. Alright, so having done that, we can make our migration now. Alright, we are getting a little one here. It says add or change related name arguments to the definition for channel.subscribers or channel.users. Okay, they want to add a related name, so let's just add the related name feed. So let's save and make a migration. Okay, so alright, so once we have our subscribe feed, made our migration, so next we head over to our watch template. Watch templates, and where we have the subscribe button, we're going to convert it to a form, because we are going to be sending a post request. This is where we had the subscribe button. So here we have this wrapping div that is wrapping the subscribe button. We're going to change it to a form. Alright, so and then what we're sending along with this form, we want to send the channel's ID with this form. So what we're going to do is first we're going to change this form to a submit action. Then we're going to add a name called channels ID, and this button, we're going to give it a value feed, and the value feed is going to be our dynamic channel ID. We can get the channel ID from the video, because the video has the video in this watch page has a relationship with the channel, so we already have the my video object instance here, so we can say my video, which is, I'll call it .channel .id. So that will be the ID of the channel that currently had the video that the user wants to subscribe to. Okay, so that is that, and don't forget to put in our CSRF token request. Okay, we can save this for now, and we are going to send in the post request from this template through Ajax. So we'll head over to our Ajax file. We already have an Ajax for like form and dislike form. So yeah, I'm going to put so subscribe. Alright, so we're going to listen for the form submit, just like where we did normal Ajax and form submit. So the class of the form, that's the button, we called it subscribe form. So we're going to grab this class to listen for a submit action from this form. Oh sorry, I forgot to close the form tag, so don't forget to change this also to a close form tag. Alright, so we want to add the submit event just like we did in the like. So here we're also going to prevent default. Let's say e.prevent default to prevent the default submit action of the form. Then we want to grab the channel ID from the form, which we pass to the button, so we'll call it channel ID, and that we want to get from the button. So for that we need to add the class to this button. Check if we have a class already. Okay, we'll add let's add a custom class. Let's just call sub dash btn. Alright, so we'll use this class to grab this button. Let's say so we are getting the channel ID from the value of this button. Alright, so also we need to get the token also, which we are getting from this hidden input feed. I think we got that when we did the subscribe, so we can just copy this because it's also the same thing, the hidden feed. Alright, so we're also getting the token from the hidden CFRF middleware token feed. And lastly, we need to also know the URL that we want to send this request to, which we are going to get from the action. Okay, by saying this, which is also referring to the form, current form that we are working on, and we have an attribute method to get the attribute, and the attribute we want to get is the action, because we're passing the URL that will handle the form request into the action. Though we've not done that yet, we'll do that when we implement the view. Alright, so that's for that. So once we get that, we can call our jQuery Ajax method, which takes in an object, and this object receives the method we want to use. All these are just basic Ajax request. There's nothing to okay. CFRF middleware, want to send the token, and lastly the data, which is the video ID, channel ID, channel ID. Okay, so our success callback and our error callback. Alright, so before we can handle the success and the error callback, let's quickly write out the view that's going to receive this request, and a view, and here we're going to write the view to process this request, which takes in requests. Alright, we need to get the subscriber, which is the user, so we'll store that in a variable called subscriber, which is the request of the user. So I haven't gotten the user, we need to check the request that the user is making. If it's a post request, which is if request method, then gets the channel ID from the post, which is the request.post. The channel ID from the post, we query for the channel. Let's get the channel, which will use the Django shortcut method, which is get object of 44, and the object we are querying, which is the channels and model, where ID is equal to the channel ID that is coming from our AJAX request. Alright, so this will give us our channel. So once we have the channel, we want to check for subscribers of this channel. If the user has already subscribed, we don't want them to subscribe a second time, so we want to remove them if they've already subscribed and they click the subscribe button. Alright, so we're checking if the subscriber, which is the user, is already there. If it's there, we want to remove it. We want to remove the subscriber, and we want to set the subscribe variable. Alright, sorry, we need to create a boolean value here to know if the user has subscribed or not. So we're going to call it subscribed. Initially it's going to be false because when the user logged in, it has not subscribed. So once we check for this request and then the user has already subscribed, so we remove the subscriber. If he has already subscribed, we also want to set the subscribe equals to false also. Then S, as in channels, the subscriber will change the subscribe value. So once we've done that, next we want to get the values by setting the data object, which we're going to send the subscribe, and also want to send the subscribers count. So we're going to say alright, so then we want to return a JSON response, which we already imported, that we want to pass in the data and also save. Next, if the request was not successful, we want to also return a JSON response. It's error, and this error we just want to say so that's that. So let's pass this over this view, create a URL for it that's going to handle this view, then we'll pass it over to our template. So let's get back to our URL. Subscribe view, then just alright, that's that. Back to our wash template. The URL we want to use is the subscribe. Secondly, what we're going to do is we don't want the owner of the channel to be able to subscribe to himself. So for that, in this place, we're going to create something like a check by saying if request.user, if the request.user is also the same thing as the channel the channel, we call it sorry, we get relationship there between the channel's model and the user's model. So we are checking if the user that is signed in, if he is the same as the owner of the channel. We don't want it to be able to subscribe to his own channel, so we're going to put a disable button there. Then alright, so if the user is the owner of the channel, we will show something else. So I'll just grab this button, but we're going to the HTML disable property or attribute, I mean. Alright, to disable the button. So if the user is the same user that is logged in, we want to disable the button. But if he's not the user, we want to show the subscribe button. Alright, so that's that. So we can save this now and then head back to our agents. So first, for us to actually see our response, let's first console log the response. So we just do a console, that's that. So once we save and then check if our server is running. Alright, our server is running, nothing is missing. So let's refresh our video page. Page is refreshed. Now we are still logged in. If we click this now, nothing will happen. So let's open our console. Just ignore this. It's talking about some images that are missing. Probably these images thumbnail that are not here. Or if we click this subscribe, alright, we are getting some errors. Say object type method not JSON serializable. Alright, the reason why we had that error was simply because we are actually passing these num_subscribers method without the parentheses. So like this, that's why I had an error. So we'll just put in the parentheses because this is a method from the model class that we created earlier. Alright, so that was the fix. So once we do that, we save and every other thing is same, nothing changed. Our age is there. Alright, so let's check one more time. So if we come and just refresh our page and let's clear our let's clear our console. Alright, so let's check our response now from our console. If we hit the subscribe button, you can see we have our response, which is the subscribed boolean value, which is true, and a number of count, which is 1, because only one click, which is 1 subscribers. Alright, so we are getting our response fine, everything's working fine. So next we need to do is to handle the response in the success and callback. What we want to do is we want to change, once the user subscribe, we want to change the color of this our button to a gray color with a subscribed, and also we want to increase the subscribe count. Alright, so we're going to handle that here now. Success, we are going to paste in this and say if the response or subscribe is true, which is the boolean value that we are passing from the view function, which is the subscribe. So we are checking if the subscribe value here, if it's equal to true, what we want to do, we want to remove the red background of the button, which is our sub button. You can check, you see the button where we have our subscribe button. We have a class, a theme CSS class here, which is bg-red, which is responsible for the red color. So that is what we are accessing now. So we are removing the class. If it's true, we are removing that red class and we are adding a gray color with the theme CSS and bg-gray-600 to it. But if it is false, that means the user has not subscribed. We want to remove the gray and passing back the red and bg color. That's number one. So that's what we are going to do first. Then secondly, we want to update the count in our template, where we have our subscribe count. Here we can see where we have a number of subscribers already passing the my video channel number of subscribers here. But if we pass it in like this from our normal jingle and template and tag, we have to replay and refresh our page for us to actually see the value. So for that, we're also going to use Ajas to kind of pass the value to this h3, which will give you a class of sub count. So here we're going to pass in, you can use a class, you can use an ID or sub count. So we're going to use Ajas to pass in the subscribe number of subscribers that we are getting from our response. Also, we're also going to pass this value back to our template. So how we're going to do? Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to access that h3 class, which is the sub count, and we are going to access the test property there in the HTML h3, and we are going to add the response by saying changing the response to response.number of counts. That's the number of count that is coming from our view function here. The number of counts we're going to pass in here. Alright, so we are passing it to this very class. That's that. So if we save this and let's double check one more time. Alright, so let's test our code. You can see we are having 0 subscriber. Refresh our page. See, having 0 subscribers. So let's click on subscribe now. We are still logging as our test user. So once we click our subscribe, you can see the color of our subscribe button changes to gray, and you can see the subscribe count. We are having 1 subscriber, but the subscriber text is not showing. So let's quickly fix that. Fresh, we can see our view count now properly structured, because in our watch page I put the view count inside the span so that they can be in the same line. So it's inside the span, so we have our subscribe icon now. But if you notice, you see that we still have some bugs in our code, because when we refresh our page, you can see that the color of the subscribe button changed back to red, and which is not a good user experience, because this user has already subscribed to the channel, and then the color is still showing red just because we refresh our page. And remember, the condition in which we are changing this color is when the subscribe boolean value that is coming from the response of the click action is what is actually changing. But now, because we refresh our page, it turns back to red. So a simple way for us to actually fix this and make this change, even when the user is out of the site and came back some other day, it will still show the gray color because the user has already subscribed. So one simple way is inside our watch template here, where we have our form, we also put a condition check here. Reason being that if we don't put a condition check here, once we refresh our page, the request has already changed, so that boolean value and response is no longer there, so it will go back to its initial state. So what we simply do is we just wrap this condition, we just put in another check, and the check we put in is we check if the user, which is the logged in user, is already a subscriber, which is in myvideo.channel.subscriber.org. If he's already a subscriber, we will show the form with the color of the button already gray, while if the user is not a subscriber, that means he has not clicked the subscribe button before, we leave the color to be red. Now if you look at it, you may say what we are doing here is the same thing with what our Ajas is doing, but the difference is if we click our subscribe button, we will not see the color change except we refresh our page. Meanwhile, if we do it like this without actually doing it like this, that is using the jingle check here, if we click, we actually see the color change, but immediately we refresh our page, it will go back to red. So once we do it like this and we save our page, and head back to our view, if we refresh our page, you can see the color is already gray because this user has already subscribed. Even if we refresh 1,000 times, it will still be gray because this user is already a subscriber. But if we decide to unsubscribe, you can see the color changes immediately. The instant change is handled by Ajax, while the, should I say, keeping it permanently is actually handled by Jingo. So you can see our subscriber is 0 subscriber, and you can see the color change. But immediately we subscribe, you can see the page did not refresh, but the subscribe action was handled by Ajax, and the color changes to gray as we wanted, and you can see our 1 subscriber. So even if we refresh our page, it will still be the same color. Alright guys, I believe we understand what we did, so I'll end this video here. So in our next video, we work on this video suggestion and also the comment section. Alright, see you guys in our next video. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up.